In accordance with Massachusetts General Law 30A, Section 20, I am advising all those in attendance this evening that the meeting is being recorded by the Town of Oxford. In addition to the Town of Oxford, Robert King of Quabog Ave is recording the meeting this evening. And at this time, if we could stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. All right. At this time, I would like to introduce Glenn Sulmasi, president of Nicholls College. He would like to address the board, so if you want to come up this time, Glenn, we would appreciate it and look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thanks, members, for taking the time. I know you've got a busy agenda and a lot going on. I wanted to, I've been president for a year, but I'm trying to get out and get around to everybody, and I've been internally focused the last year, but I think one of the problems that we've had at Nicholls over the last decade has been not getting out and interacting with the community. And as we have one of our historians back here from Dudley, from the tavern, that reminds us that we're inextricably tied to the citizens, your constituents in Dudley, Oxford, and Webster. The history of Nicholls is that, and will continue to be. We want to strengthen those ties. So I was just getting a chance to come around and say hello and greet you all, and you see each other face to face rather than sending a note or sending a letter, but to extend ourselves a real welcome and an apology. I would say that there's been a sense when we have elected representatives that come to the college that we haven't invited you all and invited you to events where I had even my induction, if you will, inauguration, which would be not accurate, a little dumbed down from that, I would say. It was just an installment, and we had Joseph P. Kennedy III, who is a family friend, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or otherwise, got a pretty good family history, and it's fun to have elected officials to come see those, and I apologize that they were not. I'm not sure. That is changing now, though. Hi, Jennifer. And I think we wanted to make sure you know that any sort of events we're having, you'll all be invited, whether you choose to come or not. Obviously, prerogative, and it'll be the prerogative of you all to do so, but we will make sure that you're on those lists yourselves and the town manager. So in that vein, the first event we'll be having to kick off the new year this year is September the 9th, Friday, September the 9th. We're having our first evening football game of the season. It's, again, a 6 o'clock kickoff, but my wife and I are inviting all of you and the Selectmen, select people from Dudley, Oxford, and Webster to our home beforehand for a reception in our home, if you're able to do so, and then we'll follow up with a game. We are putting out a formal invitation to you all in written, so you have a piece of paper to say it, not just from here. But we'll be putting things in the newspapers for your constituents and on the radio and otherwise to advertise that this is to celebrate the three towns that support us as a college and a member of your community. And we want to give you a football game, fun, and at the conclusion, we're having fireworks. As long as this rain comes through tonight and continues to rain next week, we're keeping fingers crossed. One of the funny items is that when we're having the fireworks, I wanted to have it at halftime, and I was told that's too close, it'd be too crazy, trying to get it done, so we'd do it afterwards. So we're playing Dean College, and I know Amy's an alum of Nicholls, and she'll be pulling for Nicholls, but I hope you all do so that your constituents can enjoy fireworks. I always think it's pretty bad if we lose the game and we have fireworks. I'm not sure how that plays or sends the wrong signal, but we're very, very good sports, and I won't be very happy. But we'll be doing it at the conclusion, weather contingent. But we're looking forward to that. And again, we'll be doing these sorts of things, having you to our home, having you to events throughout my tenure as president. And it's our honor to do so and to thank you for your service to your community and what you're doing. My wife, 7 children, and I just formally moved into the area. We were living in Providence, commuting back and forth the last year, and we're honored to be part of your community. It's just unbelievable what you do and what you sacrifice for your constituents. But I love, and my wife and I and our children have fallen in love with the Tri-Town area. So we're looking forward to being good neighbors and getting to learn from you. And obviously, my door is open for you all if you have anything you want. We do have programs. We very much value internships and externships, experiential learning. We have one student that's been helping out in the Dudley Town Hall. It's been very, very helpful to the town manager. John is pretty happy with her. But there are opportunities for you all in your businesses, and we're marketing the same to the Chamber of Commerce as well. Those opportunities are there in your businesses or in the practice of your political lives as well. So that was all I want to say, other than I'm Glenn. I'm great. Delighted to meet you, and again, we look forward if you can make it. If you can't, next time you will be, maybe Christmas or beforehand, but we'll be having events in between having this one. But thought it'd be a good way to kick off. A thank you to you and your constituents.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It was very nice of you. How's the team going to be?
Well, I'm hoping they're pretty good. I'm hoping they win that night, sir, Mr. Chairman. But I think they'll be better than they've been. As we've had 5-time basketball champions, and I think we even celebrate that as much. I mean, unbelievable basketball, unbelievable baseball. Football's always very okay, and maybe Amy can attest to that.
They were good in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, that's right.
Vendetti was the coach, I remember.
It's named after him. It's Vendetti Field, and they were very good, and I get to hear that from the alumni, sir, already in 1 year.
They were a junior college for a while.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. It was an associate's an associate's degree in the 50s, and it went into
quite a bit, and it's done a good job for the community. So we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the night. Look forward to meeting you all. And again, thank you very much. All right.
Thank
Go
you.
Bison. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Go Bison.
We say now, Amy, is go Books, go Bison.
Oh.
It's a fun thing to make sure we emphasize the book side. Y'all make fun of me, the nerd with the bow tie.
Not the nerd, the president with the bow tie.
Thank you for saying that. Cheers, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes. We'll do one at a time, I guess, of August 2nd, 2022. Looking
I
for a
will
motion.
make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, is there any discussion? I'll call for the vote. Amy?
Yes.
Yes.
Robert? Tim?
Yes.
I vote yes, 5 in the affirmative, no negative. Also looking for a motion to approve the minutes of August 8th, 2022.
I will make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Abstain. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Let the record show 4 in the affirmative, 1 abstention. All right. Next thing, we have a general license application and waiver fee. It's a Community Day celebration on September 24th, 2022. It's requested by the Oxford American Legion Post 58. This request is to hold a Community Day event, which will be September 24th, 2022, from 2 to 6 p.m., and will include sand art, face painting, bounce houses, police and fire vehicles, vendor tables, children's games and dunk tank. Admission is free. There will be food and refreshment. The application has been received. I'm looking for a motion to approve this request.
I make a motion to approve the request and waive the
waive the fee.
fee for the Community Day celebration at the American Legion Post on September 24th, 2022.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I vote yes. Let the record show 5 in the affirmative. Motion passes. All right, do I have to take these one at a time? Do you? I can read all of them? Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, I do need to recuse for this item.
Okay. Thank you, Robert.
I have an issue with the last one, so you can't take them as, you can take, I have no problem with
I'll take the first, 5, and then...
5, yeah.
Okay. All right, so this is a special permit for animals for renewal. Currently, special permits for animals are renewed annually based on the date of the original permit issuance. Just to let you know, the animal control officer, Kelly Flynn, has no objection to any of these renewals that are listed. So I'm going to look for the approval for the following names: George and Stacy Duran at 87 Ennis Road, North Oxford; Karen L. Mackey, 3 Highland Ave, Oxford; Kevin M. Johnson, 47 Old Worcester Road, Oxford; Dana and Debbie Jolin, 60 Joe Jenny Road, Oxford. Christina Haydes Blackwell, 9 Huguenot Road, Oxford. I'm looking for a motion
that
to
motion.
approve those.
I make the motion to approve those.
Okay,
And
Names
I'll
as read.
second that motion.
okay. I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Tim? I'll vote yes. Let the record show 4 in the affirmative, 1 abstention. Do you want to step down for the next one, or you're just going to not abstain?
I'm just gonna say,
Okay. I'm looking for a motion to approve the special animal renewal permit for Robert Zalewski, 70 Old Webster Road, Oxford, Mass.
I make,
Mr. Chairman, would you hold this item for the next meeting, because I want to make sure that we don't need a supermajority for that.
Okay. I will hold this request until the next meeting
I will second the hold.
to make sure we don't need a supermajority. All right. Thank you. Okay, Robert, come on back. So the next one, we had our special meeting last week, and it was nice to see everybody, but we didn't, we forgot to name the dog. I guess that's what the issue is. So we're gonna have to redo it again. So I apologize for making everybody come last week, but again, it was good to see everyone.
You
So
missed
anyway.
us. Give it a break.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna vote to order an investigation by animal control officer for a dangerous/nuisance dog. The complaint is filed by the animal control officer Kathleen Kelly Flynn. The dog owners are Katie and Dean Benway of 48 Walnut Street, Oxford, Mass. There are 4 complaints, 1 for each dog involved. And it says see the attached, but we'll just put it in there for the record. So what we have to do is we have to take a separate vote to investigate for each dog complaint, all right? So we'll start off with, the first dog's name is Stormy. The board will vote to order Animal Control Officer Kathleen Kelly Flynn to conduct an investigation into a dangerous dog complaint filed regarding the dog Stormy, owned by Katie and Dean Benway of 48 Walnut Street. So I'm looking a motion to do the
I
investigation.
will make a motion to investigate Stormy as a dangerous dog.
Okay,
I will second that.
all right, I have a motion and I have a second. Call for the vote. Amy?
Yes.
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 I vote yes. Let the record show 5 in the affirmative, no negative. Stormy is going to be investigated. Next one, dog's name is Diesel. The board will vote to order Animal Control Officer Kathleen Kelly Flynn to conduct an investigation into dangerous dog complaint filed regarding the dog Diesel, owned by Katie and Dean Benway of 48 Walnut Street. Looking for a motion to conduct the investigation, please.
I will make a motion to conduct an investigation into Diesel.
Have a second?
I'll second that. That says it's dangerous dog, correct?
As a
Yes,
dangerous
it's a
dog.
dangerous dog. All right, we have a vote, a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Amy?
Yes.
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 I vote yes. Let the record show 5 in the affirmative. Investigation goes on with Diesel. The next dog is Harley. The board will vote to order Animal Control Officer Kathleen Kelly Flynn to conduct an investigation into a nuisance dog complaint filed regarding the dog Harley, owned by Katie and Dean Benway of 48 Walnut Street. Looking for a motion, please.
I will make a motion to investigate Harley as a nuisance dog.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Yes.
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 I vote yes. Let the record show 5 in the affirmative. Harley will be investigated. And the last one, dog's name is Cash. The board will vote to order Animal Control Officer Kathleen Kelly Flynn to conduct an investigation into a nuisance dog complaint filed regarding the dog Cash, owned by Katie and Dean Benway of 48 Walnut Street.
I will make a motion to have an investigation done on Cash as a nuisance dog complaint.
Second.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 I vote yes. Let the record show 5 in the affirmative, no negative. Investigation will be conducted. Next one, we need to vote to set a date for a dangerous nuisance dog hearing complaint filed by Animal Control Officer Kathleen Kelly Flynn. The dog owner is Katie and Dean Benway of 48 Walnut Street. Please vote to set the date for a dangerous nuisance dog public hearing. In this case, the Animal Control Officer is holding one of the dogs until the outcome of the hearing. The September 6th meeting is requested. There is no statute preventing a meeting or public hearing on an election day. So I'm looking, do we have to name the dog on this too? No? It's for all.
It's for all
Okay,
of them?
thank you. So I'm looking for a motion to set the date at September 6th for the public hearing.
I will make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Chairman, could we have some discussion on that?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Robert.
I had this concern because it's obviously been a couple of weeks, and my understanding is that the animal's been in the custody of animal control for all that time. And I don't believe, I researched, and I couldn't find a requirement that we wait 2 weeks for a dangerous dog hearing, and I would like us to consider maybe moving that date up and consider setting an earlier date, just because the animal's been in ACO's custody for so long, and my concern, would be that that could be stressful for the people involved, stressful for the animal, and we haven't even made a judgment one way or the other at this time.
If the board wants to discuss that, I'll certainly entertain a discussion. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide if you want to move it up. What would the date be?
I'm not sure that Kelly has had time to investigate all 4 dogs since we just gave her that authority tonight.
So the complaints that we got had some details, so it's clear to me that obviously the ACO is aware of some of the facts of the case. And we would have to send certified mail notices, according to the town's policy, to all those people. So that's going to take minimally several working days at least. If you'd like, Mr. Chairman, I can make a motion for another date, or we can discuss this, give everyone a chance to kind of have their views heard.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what everybody has to say. That's fair.
Still not sure that it's going to give Kelly enough time to do the investigation that she needs to do, since she was just, tomorrow is the first time she can do it.
So we did previously authorize one for one animal, but Mr. Chairman, if I may direct to the manager, if the manager has any knowledge about what the ACO has been able to accomplish over the last couple weeks?
I actually am not privy to how much she has done or not, but I think she was informed right off the bat that the vote needed to be taken properly and correctly, and therefore she would not necessarily engage in an investigation until that board vote is taken. We want to do everything by, whenever these cases come up, we take them very seriously, and you want to make sure that the board and the town does the right thing in their investigation and also with whatever ruling they're going to make. So I would venture to say, although Dee may know better, that I doubt very much that she may have launched, an investigation worthy of being able to, put before the board any sooner than perhaps that date. She wouldn't necessarily start that process. She might be doing preliminary gathering, which is one thing, but there's a formality on how she would actually conduct that investigation. Do you want to ask?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think it would be reasonable that she could finish her investigation by maybe August 30th, and that would give us time to also give notice to all the people that have to be noticed in the hearing, but I wouldn't suggest going any sooner than that.
August 30th. Any other discussion?
Wasn't she the one that recommended this particular date? Kelly?
Hold on.
Our animal control officer, isn't she the
Originally,
one?
when I spoke to her, but she can probably get it done by the 30th.
It's the
And
30th.
That's it.
although
Are you
she
saying
is
her
holding the dog, it is the police chief who has authorized the holding of the dog, because that is within
It's
his
2 weeks from
authority.
today.
So we can either do it the 30th or the 6th, is that what you're saying? Whatever
I'm
the
good
board
with-
wants to do.
I'm good with the 30th, if that's good with Kelly. Honestly, I don't want the dog held any longer than he has to be either.
I'd be okay with that, too.
You okay with that?
Yeah, may I make a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Hold
We
on. I
already
want to
have
hear
a
what Tim's got to
motion, so
say.
we
Or, I'm
have
sorry, an amendment.
We have
You okay with the 30th, Tim?
Absolutely, as soon as possible. I would
Okay,
say.
Robert, I will entertain a motion that we move the hearing up.
You want to take away, didn't we already make a motion?
I'll amend the motion.
Oh, okay, cool. That works.
Well, you guys decided, so,
Was there a second on that first motion?
Yeah.
There was.
yeah, because we had the discussion. Robert, make your amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I amend the motion to authorize a dangerous dog hearing for the 30th of August.
I am looking for a second for
I'll
that motion.
second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. I will call for the vote.
Yes.
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 I vote yes. Look, the record show, we have moved the public hearing date to August 30th. Thank you, board. Thank you, Robert. Moved on to that. All right, the next thing we want to look at, and this started with, our former chairman started this. We all know that our policy book's about this thick. So I kind of asked Amy to take the lead on this, and to kind of start going through the policies, and let's look them over, and let's try to get rid of them, or change them, or whatever the board decides to do. So what I'll do at this point is I'll turn this over to Amy. She's got 4 policies she would like us all to look at, and then we can discuss them, and as a board, we can decide if we want to get rid of them or not. So Amy, the floor is yours.
Okay, the first policy is the price of minutes. I believe this is really outdated, 1974, and the price of public materials is governed under the open law, meeting law. So I think we should repeal this policy in its entirety.
Get rid of it entirely?
Yep,
That's your thought?
that's my thought.
Discussion of the members?
It's the public records law is what governs this. And so it's superseded. I would love to know what was going on in 1974 that they want to charge $1 a page.
Things were a little different then. So at least $1.50 now.
It's
All right.
it's 5 cents, I believe.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Wow. All right, well, any other discussion? I'll call for the vote. We're going to eliminate it, right? Is that what we're doing?
Sure.
All right, I'll call for a vote to eliminate it.
Yes.
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 I vote yes. The policy book just got a little
To
thinner.
rescind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've-
no,
Yeah.
Oh,
I can do a
rescind,
motion?
okay, I'm
not
sorry.
eliminate.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're going to get me on a technicality?
Yes, I am.
I make a motion that we rescind
There you go.
policy number 1608.
I second that motion.
There you go.
All right?
We're gonna
No,
get this
I-
right one day.
You're making the motion. You
Oh,
make the
you
motion.
just made the motion.
And I shouldn't do that.
I make a motion that we rescind policy 1608.
Thank you, Dennis.
Second.
All right. Let's call for the vote.
Yes.
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 I vote yes. Policy 1608 is eliminated. Next one.
Policy 1609, programs or services by departments. This is also from 1977, and it says that prior to any department instituting a program or service, it has to come in front of the board. I think this is outdated and can be rescinded.
I agree with you.
Any other discussion? Robert, Tim?
I don't see any problem with it. I think I've kind of been on the record before saying I like, as selectmen, for us to kind of know what's going on in the town, and this doesn't seem to be specific, and, it says you can present it in writing, so they don't even necessarily have to come before us. You can just go in our pack, and I believe that the manager kind of already does this, with the manager's report, kind of letting us know about the new things the town is doing, so I don't think that this policy is a problem, in my opinion.
Okay. Tim?
Good with it.
Okay, so my thought on this is that it hinders the schools. They can't institute anything. All of the football and basketball and sports and everything without coming in front of the Board of Selectmen prior to inauguration.
Has that actually been a problem before?
I don't believe that anybody's actually following this policy since
That's
it's
the
from
problem.
1977. I mean, Educare has probably been put in after 1977. The community center had probably put in their summer program without coming before the board and getting it inaugurated before.
I think what happened, people stopped using it, so now they don't use it, so it's not an issue, so really would make sense to get rid of it, but that's up to the board. Any other discussion? All right, so I'm going to entertain a motion to rescind policy number 1609.
I make that motion?
And I'll second that motion.
I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Policy 1609 has been rescinded. How's that, Jed? Better than eliminated, right?
That's right.
All right, policy 1610, police check.
just states that any person coming for a license or permit will get a police check from 1977.
So what's the police, oh, I mean, they just check out their,
I guess they have to go to the
Credibility.
police and
this is what, where's
Get
that again?
checked.
Anybody that what?
comes in for a license or a permit.
Okay.
Check of the individual must be
So if you
made.
come in for a building permit, you
You have
gotta
to get a
be
police
checked by the
check.
police? Wow.
It's not clear to me what they actually mean by police check. So now we have a Corey check that the town does for certain things, but
Correct.
not for like every interface with the
Correct.
town. So I'm not
So
sure what
this
this is
probably
getting at.
was in place prior to quarry, being that it was in 1977, and probably served the same purpose as the quarry. Chief Sad is okay with getting rid of this. He doesn't believe that it needs to be.
Okay. Anything else?
That's good to know.
Okay, I'll take a motion to rescind policy number 1610.
I make a motion to rescind policy number 1610.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Let the record show 5 in the affirmative. Policy 1610 has now been rescinded. And the last one, pinball machines, 1611. What's that policy, Amy?
This policy states that you cannot have more than 2 pinball machines in an establishment. Again, 1978. There's no reason for it, it just says it.
It's succeeded in lasting so long that it's totally irrelevant.
I agree with you.
I laughed when I read it, so.
Can't have more than 2.
So you guys are all too young to remember this. I remember the old,
Yeah.
what's the
yeah.
song, the
Big deal.
pinball machine with, what's his name?
Elton John.
Yeah.
Were they controversial back in the 70s, having
yeah,
pinball
yes.
Well,
machines?
Absolutely.
probably because of the
Gambling
timing.
and yeah, all that stuff. Oh, yeah, there was, things were
Anyway.
tough. The late 70s were tough, I guess. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to rescind policy number 1611.
I make that motion.
And I'll second that motion.
I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 I vote yes. Let the record show 5 in the affirmative. Well, we just got rid of 4 policies, and Amy, we'll look forward to getting a few more next meeting, and maybe by the time May rolls around, we're gonna have a nice little thin policy book.
That would be
Now, we
nice.
can also add a policy things, guys, remember that. All right, thanks, that was good. All right, next thing is a town manager report. Grant announcements, community announcements, reminders, public health updates, and appointment updates. No votes will be taken. Jen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and through you to the board. I just wanted to start off, in the previous board meeting, I informed all the members that we would be obtaining a new secure ballot drop box to be placed at the town hall and to receive mail-in primary and general election ballots for future state and federal elections. As you know, the state had actually implemented to make those requirements that were in effect during COVID permanent for state and federal elections. So I'm pleased to say, as you can see up here, that we do have on our back entry coming into the town hall, a brand-new Oxford official ballot drop-off box. And I just want everyone to know, including the public, that this particular secure box is also monitored 24 hours a day. So if people choose to do a mail-in vote, they can do that, or they'll be able to come to the senior center for early voting as well. So, and then they can come obviously on election day and also have the option for absentee voting. So there's a number of ways to drive up participation by voters, and I thought this looked really quite snazzy, and I want to thank our town clerk for looking into one that would fit the profile of attracting the attention of voters as they come into the building in the back of Town Hall. The next item is to inform the board, since we last met, I'm very excited to tell everybody that our Green Communities grant proposal for a 3rd year in a row has been awarded the full amount that we put in our proposal to actually have funded, which is $200,000. And this is a program that has actually gotten more restrictive since actually becoming a Green Communities community. There was once upon a time where the allotments were as much as 400,000, and because the number of communities has increased substantially, the program has also changed its priorities. So even though we did LED light conversion for 2 schools last year, initially, before we started to do a lot of dialoguing with the state agency in charge of the Green Communities grant program, it looked like we may not actually be able to have the second half of it funded. I did a lot of pinch hitting for, for the grant at that discussion level that we had. And I'm pleased to say that that 200,000 will be allotted for the following items that are part of our capital plan, as you know. And that includes $50,000 to go towards the Chafee Elementary School for LED lighting. That will complete that school, $45,000 for Clara Barton Elementary School LED lighting. This will also include almost $79,000 for the fire headquarters weatherization project, and also the library has about $22,000 for weatherization as well. And of course, we have some administrative services that we are retaining to make sure that the final completed annual report, which is quite lengthy and requires a lot of analysis of our actual usage and kilowatt hours, gets put in. And because we have met those milestones, I think that's one of the reasons we were awarded. And this means that in the last 3 years, we've been able to retain over $600,000. So, one, I want to thank the townspeople for actually supporting it at town meeting, for changing our bylaw to make us eligible to become a green communities community, and that required a number of steps. And I want to thank Mike Lupus, who's our Director of Facilities, along with Mike Lucas, our Superintendent, and Jared Duval, our Director for DPW, for working with me to come together to define these projects in particular. The next item is to inform the board that we have another public land auction, and this is going to be on September 8th, which is a Thursday. We'll be actually auctioning off 2 properties, we hope. One definitely for certain, which is 445 Main Street, and the other one is 36.5 Dana Road. The Main Street property can actually be seen now. It's up in the right-hand corner there. It was all enshrouded with overgrowth, and our DPW had gone in and cleaned up the outside of the property. And this is part of an overall management directive for our finances to lower the overall Oxford's outstanding uncollected tax burden that we have. And so this will be our 3rd auction, and I'm looking forward to bringing in more. The last auction brought in $225,000, last year's over $650,000, and the one before that was a little over $300,000. So I think that as we go through these motions, it's one of those things that every time we make a major change, changed our tax title attorney, changed and recruited and drafted Zekas Group to do those auctions, we've been very successful in making improvements that add to our bottom line, and that adds to our ability to do more programming, more services, and more staffing wherever we need it. So I was very happy to hear that we had another 2 that were going to be able and eligible for an auction. The next item, I know street improvements have been important, and obviously they were in the goal setting for the manager's office. So once again, I wanted to inform the public that we're going to be doing some road work in the very near future over the next month. I just had awarded the actual contract to PJ Keating for our Winter Street Recovery Grant funding. And I put this together with Jared to look at where in our neighborhoods could we do some substantial repaving, and what could we use for funding for that. And so Winter Street Recovery was on a unique, I had explained to this board before, it's not a typical state funding source that we have. And we looked at the work that we had done over, we call either the fairgrounds or the Sherwood Drive area over by the Chafee School. And what we decided is that let's try to complete that whole area, although this gentleman over here, who's here for a different purpose, our operations manager, Steve Esposito, understood that if we could take one whole section of a lot of our smaller streets and get it done, that would make people, I think, very pleased in that area. Did get a lot of feedback from the work that was done last year from residents who were very pleased with that. So one of the things that I wanted to do is just list the streets that are going to be scheduled for improvement. That is Cherry Street, Beach Street, Aspen Street, Vine Street, Hemlock Street, Sherwood Drive, and Little John Circle. They're going to be taking place through the end of August and into September. And this, again, supplements our normal Chapter 90 and capital plan budgeted funding. And we'll also be doing about $75,000 in preventative maintenance in the form of cleaning, prepping, filling of asphalt cracks, and some of our parking lots, particularly at our schools. We're going to be doing that as well. So that actually I put up there. It's very hard to see, but whatever's in blue, you can see that's where the crack sealing is going to be being done. And this was some diagrams that we have to show that we're being used to actually do our contracting bids so that people could see what we're going to be asking. Again, crack sealing and all of these efforts are a way of trying to enhance the longevity of our municipal assets, and obviously pavement is one of them. So, so that would mean that we're spending about $283,000 on the repaving, which is the mill, shim, and overlay, and then the $75,000 for the chip and seal. Not chip and seal, I always want to say that. I'm sorry, it's crack and seal, right? So that's that. So that's going to be happening, so folks will see a lot of activity upcoming. The next, I think I have this out of order. I do want to note that for number 5, I have the Cannabis Retail Rfi. I wanted the board to know that the review committee that was set up and is also is comprised of both staff and the board members, Selectmen LaMarche, in which you voted to select him to serve on that. We recently met, we reviewed the full proposals submitted by 6 different companies. And we are looking at all of that, and I believe that we will be ready to actually put it for an agenda item to make a recommendation for our second retail cannabis license that the town has available. So I am going to ask the chairman to have at least that put on the agenda, hopefully for the next full board meeting in September, possibly, and we think that there'll be at least 3 proposals that will come forward, and we will be giving, the review committee will be giving the board their recommendation along with the evaluation criteria. Other members, of this review committee included our police chief, our director for planning and economic development, our building commissioner, the board of selectmen chairman, myself, and so all of that will, hopefully we can put it together in a package for you to consider, at least the 3 that we think are top priority out of the 6. The next item is what I had already put up, which is the Mass School Building update. I wanted to let the board know, because some of this happened prior to some of the new members, is that this town has put in 2 statements of interest in the past. One had related to the middle school, and we were not fully invited into the actual program at MSBA for work. We were encouraged to think about the accelerated repair program, which is still a very important and significant program for grant money to do major capital projects. So in late July, I had discussions with our superintendent and school business manager. We had met. I was concerned about the status of our 2022 statement of interest proposal, which we changed this year, and we're looking specifically at our elementary schools only because the criteria, again, as more and more schools apply, and more and more proposals need to be funded, oftentimes the criteria will shift. That's what happened in our last statement of interest. We actually got bumped out of what would have been an eligible bracket because so many schools had applied, and they had actually extended the amount of years that were necessary for the age of a building for us to actually be considered to be invited into the program. So I've been waiting to hear. They typically give towns notice between June and July, and we had not heard. So I had reached out to the MSBA CEO, Jack McCarthy, as we had been having our meeting to inquire about the status because the notifications had not taken place. They are delayed, I've been informed by him, and that what happened is my call helped to trigger the fact that the town was not only very interested, but we were going to be getting ourselves together in a joint meeting with the MSBA, which took place last week, where we have our financial team, the school team, the management team, and they go over a number of requirements if we are going to be invited into the accelerated repair project. This would be for the two school roofs that were both constructed in 1990. Some repairs have been done on one of the schools, the not the Clairbout, the Chafee, and so wherever it was newer, we might not be eligible for that. But it gives you an idea that these were some cost estimates that may also be a little outdated at this point in time from when we actually submitted the proposal. But we went through the requirement of meeting with them, and then this week, they are coming out to do their actual assessment. I think it's on the 18th. And they will do the site assessment, and the MSBA will be meeting in October. And I'm very hopeful and optimistic at this point in time because we're being asked to do these aspects of the actual program that hopefully we'll hear in a positive way. This is not an outright grant program. In other words, it's not like they cover everything, but they cover an enormous amount of the burden, and then it allows us to actually get two major projects which have been on our capital repair plan for a while. Again, this is an example of something where we're moving it, we have a target, we're trying to get it funded, we're trying to actually see if we can find other sources, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the ARP program will be the one that allows us to do it. Speaking of capital projects and programs, I wanted to give the board an update on our community center feasibility study. I did say in the last meeting that I was hoping to have an actual forum coming up. I wanted the board to know we are already starting some of our advertising. The date for the actual OCC community forum will be Wednesday, September 28th, from 6:30 to 8:30 at the community center community room. And we are going to have members of the Berry Dunn consultant group that we have been working with, both architects and also program consultants who look at recreational programming. There's been an enormous amount of meetings with staff providing materials for a variety of different requests from the consultant company. So this will be our first time really sharing that. And we are reaching out to a number of community stakeholders that are both interested in the community center, the senior center, Veterans Affairs, all those kinds of things in which we think that the community center could have a pivotal role going forward in the future. So I encourage everybody who's interested in our community center, which is very unique for a community to have in the first place, to come take a look at what we are being recommended to think about from this consultant company. The next item is something that I would like to have Steve Esposito come forward. Oh, come on, just come over, just stand by the table, really. So I'm going to start out. Everyone knows we had historic trees in town, and one of them was the famous Huguenot oak on Huguenot Street. And what that has resulted in is there were a number of oaks, 3 oaks that were important to the original Huguenot settlement. In order to get back up to the settlement, they used these trees to help guide them long before we ever had roads, right? So this tree actually recently had come down, but it was one of the major trees that were a guide all the way up to the Fort Settlement, which now is one of our parks. So the Huguenot oak was very ill and was recommended to come down. And I know in our previous meetings, I had shared with you some beautiful clocks that our operations manager here had made, just out of the goodness of his heart. But we didn't know he had even more talents. And so I wanted to share with the public that our clerk had asked if he might be able to make a small table. And he came into the building just the other day, and he brought this beautiful table that he has actually handcrafted out of the Huguenot oak. And I can't say how wonderful it looks because until you put it someplace where it can be seen. At first, we thought he was going to make something we could put papers on. And then he walked in with this, and I said, oh, no, we're not putting any papers, but we will put it someplace very prominent. So we have it right under our Boston Post cane for our citizens when they turn 100. And we just want to encourage people to see what the top is. He used, I think, the grain in a beautiful, creative way. So tell us, where did you come up with all of this talent? Because I know there's a gentleman who's sitting out in the audience who had been teaching for 30 years industrial arts, right? At the schools, public schools?
Yeah, Mr. Duchamp.
Mr.
He was my
Duchamp.
woodwork teacher in high school. I haven't seen him since 1986.
Bob, come on up.
Come on up. He heard that you were doing this, and he came completely unannounced to me, and I'm so pleased he came to he wanted to see the table that you had put together. And again, this is one of the things that makes this town very unique. When you do things like this, Steve is also the person, along with his brother, who lights up our cupola here in the town hall for Purple Heart Day, Gold Star Mothers and Families. He's done a lot of things that are very wonderful and heartwarming, but I just can't say enough about how wonderful this is. Why don't you tell us how you made it and what made you come up with this idea?
Well, I wanted to try it. It's my first attempt at it. I think it came out okay. There's not a lot of good pieces. As you know, the Huguenot oak was pretty rotted, so I found some good pieces and I went for it, and that's what it came out. I think it came out
Pictures
okay.
don't do it justice.
Yeah,
It's
it's
so
true.
much nicer in person.
Yeah, when you see
You
it,
have to come down and see this.
it's
You figure the
beautiful.
wood's, what, 400 years old, so
Wow.
at least it's a piece of it's preserved.
At least until it gets
Beautiful.
moved to my house.
But Bob, I want to know, how many detentions did you give him?
Get to the good stuff.
Enough of this nice stuff.
I talked to Steve earlier, and I said, you know, I was very fortunate because I taught at Oxford High School for 35 years. And every once in a while I run into my kids, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and I still call them kids, but I never had very many bad kids. I mean, I was fortunate in my
Yeah.
career.
Good.
So,
That's because you were a good teacher.
well, thank you. But
And here's the results of it right here. Very good, thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I haven't told Jean O'Reilly about it yet. Did you?
I told her to come here today. and look
Oh,
at it.
good, good. All right. Well,
And
she
there's
probably was,
The clock order's getting bigger
yes.
Good.
for the departments.
Excellent.
Well, don't retire and start doing that as a side business yet. You're too valuable for us to keep around for a lot longer. Well, thank you again. I wanted to make sure everyone knew how wonderfully talented you were, beyond the fact that you're the top-notch operations manager that any community could have.
And if you haven't seen the bandstand, all the concrete work, that's
I-
coming
I
out
just
very,
went by,
that's
it
coming
looks
out very
great.
nice.
It really is
They're
nice.
doing all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, you guys are doing a good job.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bob,
Stevie.
nice seeing you again.
thank you.
Nice.
Well, go from the heartwarming to more dry financial information, and that is to let the board know that recently the governor and the legislature had completed the fiscal year 2023 $52.7 billion state budget. There are some important increases in the final numbers, particularly in terms of Chapter 70 school aid, charter, school reimbursement money. That went up substantially. We're now slated to receive $162,211. Our unrestricted general government aid, or lottery funding, what we call it, overall for the state went up 5.4%. And so we're now looking at, improvements in that funding. And of course, we will be, continuing to take any kind of increases, with careful eyes, for conservatism as we go forward this year. Even though we may get slight increases, that doesn't necessarily mean we will always get that. So we always err on the original budgetary numbers, even though they might go up from the governor to the House to the Senate, back to the final one that's approved by the governor. So our overall Chapter 70 money will come in at about $10.8 million, and our local aid amount will be about $2.4 million. I also want to thank Representative Joe McKenna, who once again had filed a legislative earmark during the budgetary process for our school foundations and repair. We shared with him how much that actually was, and unfortunately, there's a lot of competition for funding and earmarks in the budgetary process, but he was able to secure at least $25,000 that will be expended for the repair of the foundations of the elementary schools as we go forward. So I want to say thank you publicly to him on behalf of the Oxford Public School District and town. The next item is, I have been informing the board on a number of board meetings about the drought status across the state and also here in town. What I did provide you with is information in your packets that relate to a MEMA meeting that was recently held last week. And I also understand that I have let this board know, based on that information, that our regional status had changed, and we went into what they call critical drought regional status. After having explained what that meant in the last meeting, I had explained that level 3 critical drought status meant that Aquarian had reached out for wherever they supply water for the community, even though they had said there was no problem at this time with their supply, that they were trying to also help MEMA reinforce, the severity of the drought. And they had, on their actual website, had posted, and they had informed the town ahead of that, that they were going to ask for a mandatory ban for large sprinkler and irrigation systems, and along with some other aspects to ask people to, hand water, before 9 o'clock and after 5 o'clock for their yard activities. But the larger issues about irrigation were there. So I put in your packets a actual correspondence that came from our DPW director, because I know some people had looked at it and said, there's a water ban, and why are we sprinkling rural field? Or a number of other municipal or school places. So just so that the general public knows that correspondence that took place with Aquarian, our DPW director had actually taken a number of steps to reduce the amount of watering, in the watering schedule had been actually abbreviated, yeah. And so I put that memorandum, or actually email that he had sent to me, so that people would understand that even though there is a restriction, we take that seriously, but we also have some major investments as a business operation, particularly when we take monies from different athletic groups to actually use the fields. And that's one of the exceptions that the towns do have, not only as a municipality, but more importantly, even the state understands that there are everything from nurseries and golf courses that are allowed to do intermittent watering. So nevertheless, it's not that we've kept to the schedule, we've actually abbreviated it, and which is why probably some of our fields don't look that great. However, to replace all of them would be a monumental task. And there are still some other things that we're doing. You know, the dog park is one of the places where, because of health and sanitation reasons, we also do continue to provide watering in that area and make sure that we're not contributing to any potential public health problems. But I also wanted to share with the public that, aside from the water restrictions, it's not just about places that are receiving water from Aquarian. We have a lot of people with regular wells. We have a lot of wetlands in our areas. There is this call that we were on through MEMA talked about not only the drinking water supplies and the reservoirs that people are dependent on, but more importantly, the increased fire risks and also the fragility, the increasing fragility of our wetlands. And because of all of that, it was a joint effort by MEMA to kind of talk about what each agency is doing. And I wanted to provide here, if you look at this map that the MEMA put together to look at wildfire occurrence. If you look at the number of wildfires being 769 with acres burned over 1,200 and resident homes that were threatened, 57 and other structures impacted, 34. If you look at the coloration on there and you see a lot of dense red dots, the reason why I'm putting this up, that was August. This was July, the previous month. And if you can look at the difference of how dark, and what it shows you is how many fires that have been outbreaking across the state, and looked at the number of acres burned as 90 compared to over 1,200, and the number of fires, going from 172 to 769. So that's in 1 month's time. So when people are out burning, and I have said this in the previous meetings, when you're having charcoal or wood fires, pits and things like that, be very, very careful, because these numbers don't lie. They're across the state and they show you those kinds of things are very important. Again, some of these restrictions for the irrigation of lawns and sprinklers are through September 30th. I am so looking forward to the rain tomorrow, I can't tell you. I think everybody is. And I do want to assure the public that we are doing our fair share of, cutting back where we can. And hopefully that will continue to make a difference, and hopefully Mother Nature will step in shortly. What I did also provide here was this drought index that the state shared. And if you see where we are, the number is 630, and there's also one 551 down below. You can see that that index there shows that we're very off at where we really should be at this time of year for the index of being associated with drought and increased wildfire occurrence and intensity for that. And so we're ranked right up in the most severe ranges for central Massachusetts. We're probably where you saw a lot of those red dots. So I know some people were asking about the drought update, so that's what I'm providing for. And going from that, I just wanted to assure the public that we're coming to a conclusion for our summer. Movies on Main is supposed to be tomorrow night, but I'm sure Shelley and I will have a conversation. It was really a great movie slated, American Underdog, for the kickoff of the football season. And if we can't have it tomorrow night, likely we'll set another date for that, because we want the football season and the Oxford-Webster Football League to be excited about the season kickoff, and this was one of the ways to do that with this football movie. And then there are two concerts coming up again in Jocelyn Park. One's going to be Sunday the 21st before we come together again, and that's the Blue House Between band that's playing. And then on August 28th we have Dr. J Acoustic playing. Both events are from 3 to 5 p.m. I also want to thank the seniors of this town. The Council on Aging this last week had sponsored Jumpin' Juba, on the Common. It was a more early, midweek, Thursday concert, and it was well-attended by those seniors that really like music. And I want to thank Laura Wilson and the Council on Aging for coming together, like our Cultural Council and our Community Center, and making this year's schedule of concerts absolutely fabulous. More than 14 concerts that we've had on the Common. So thank you to the Council on Aging, and we look forward to being able to do more of that, and I invite people to attend all of these concerts in the last ones that we have. And that would conclude my report, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Jen. See everybody on the 30th. I make a motion, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
Second?
Call for the vote?
Yes.
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 I vote yes. Meeting adjourned. We'll see everybody on the 30th.